The first time I realized my life was about to fall apart was the night the phone rang. It wasn't the ring that scared me. It was the voice. Calm, cold, and certain. "You don't really know your son," the stranger said. Then the line went dead. For a moment, I thought it was a prank. But as I stood there holding the phone, I felt the blood drain from my face. Every memory of my son flashed before me. His smile, his laughter, the promises he made to always protect me. Suddenly, none of it felt safe. None of it felt real. The words kept repeating in my head like a curse. "You don't really know your son." And from that night, nothing in my world would ever be the same. My name is Helen, and I am 60 years old. I live in a quiet little town in the United States. My days are simple. I take care of my small house, cook meals, water the plants in my garden, and sometimes sit on the porch to watch the neighbors pass by. Life has not been easy for me. I lost my husband many years ago, and since then my world has only revolved around one person, my son, Daniel. Daniel is 35 now, but for me, he will always be my little boy. I raised him alone, and every sacrifice I made in life was only for him. When I worked long hours, when I skipped meals, when I sold my jewelry just to pay his college fees, every pain I accepted with a smile because I knew it was for his future. And when he grew up to be a successful businessman, I felt proud. I believed my hard work had been worth it. He lives in the city, not too far from me. We see each other often, and he calls me almost every day. For me, those phone calls are the happiest moments. I listen to his voice and I feel alive again. That evening, I was preparing his favorite soup. The smell of onions and chicken filled the kitchen, and my heart was full of love. I thought about surprising him the next day with lunch at his office, maybe bringing a small cake too, just like I used to when he was younger. In my mind, Daniel was still that innocent boy who loved chocolate, who ran into my arms when he was scared, and who told me everything, but I had no idea. That everything I believed about my perfect son was about to break into pieces. The evening was quiet, and I felt peaceful as I placed the soup into containers. My plan was simple. Tomorrow, I would drive to Daniel's office and surprise him with lunch. Just the thought of his smile made me happy. But then the phone rang. The sound was sharp in the silence of my little house. I wiped my hands on a towel and picked it up. The screen showed an unknown number. Normally, I do not answer such calls, but something inside me told me to press the green button. "Hello?" I said softly. For a moment, no one answered. Then a man's voice came through. It was calm, almost too calm. "You don't really know your son, do you?" I froze. "What? Who is this?" The line went dead. I stood there, holding the phone against my ear, listening to the empty silence. My heart was beating so fast it hurt. What did he mean? Who was he talking about? I told myself it was a mistake, a prank call. But the words would not leave my mind. "You don't really know your son." I sat at the kitchen table, staring at my phone. Should I call Daniel and tell him? Should I pretend it never happened? The soup in front of me had gone cold, but I did not care. I kept replaying the voice in my head. Calm, cold, certain. Later that night, I tried to sleep, but I could not. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard the same sentence. By morning, my fear had grown stronger. I decided not to tell Daniel. Instead, I convinced myself I would surprise him at his office earlier than planned. Maybe if I saw him, if I watched him, I would understand. The next afternoon, I drove to the city. The roads were busy, but my mind was busier. My thoughts kept running in circles. Who was that man? Why did he call me? Could Daniel really be hiding something from me? When I reached his office building, I parked in the lot. I took a deep breath and looked up at the tall glass windows. Somewhere inside, my son was working, maybe even smiling, unaware that my heart was filled with doubt. I carried the soup container in my hands, trying to hold on to the picture of Daniel as my sweet boy. But deep down, a seed of suspicion had already grown. And as I walked toward the entrance, I whispered to myself, "Today, I will find out the truth." When I stepped into Daniel's office building, everything looked so normal. The receptionist smiled at me. People walked by holding files and coffee cups, and I thought to myself, maybe I am just overthinking. Maybe that phone call meant nothing. I took the elevator up to Daniel's floor. The moment the doors opened, I saw him through the glass wall of his cabin. He was sitting at his desk, speaking on the phone. For a second, my heart warmed. He looked handsome in his suit, confident, successful, the kind of man any mother would be proud of. But then, something strange happened. As soon as he noticed me walking toward his office, he quickly put the phone down and shoved some papers into his drawer. His face changed. The smile I expected never came. Instead, he looked nervous, almost guilty. "Mom?" he said, stepping out of his office. "What are you doing here?" I lifted the container in my hand and forced a smile. "I brought you lunch. Your favorite soup." His eyes softened for a moment, but the nervousness never fully left his face. "That's really sweet of you, Mom, but you should have called me first." "Why? Do I need an appointment to see my own son?" I laughed lightly, but inside my heart felt heavy. He took the container from me and thanked me, but I noticed how quickly he looked over his shoulder, as if checking whether someone was watching us. That small action cut me deeper than a knife. Why would my son act like that with me? While he walked back to his desk, his phone rang again. He grabbed it quickly and turned his back toward me. His voice dropped low and urgent. "Yes, I know. Don't worry. She won't find out." My blood ran cold. Those exact words. "She won't find out." They echoed in my mind like thunder. Was he talking about me? I tried to listen carefully, but he lowered his voice even more, almost whispering. A few seconds later, he ended the call and slipped the phone into his pocket. Then he turned to me with a smile that felt forced. "Mom, I'm a little busy right now. Can I call you later?" I nodded slowly, my throat too tight to speak. I left his office, but my feet felt heavy, like I was carrying stones. The warm picture of my loving son was breaking apart piece by piece. When I reached the parking lot, I sat inside my car and closed my eyes. The words of the unknown caller and Daniel's words overlapped in my head. "You don't really know your son. She won't find out." Tears filled my eyes. For the first time in my life, I felt like a stranger to my own child. I told myself maybe I was wrong. Maybe I misunderstood. But another part of me whispered that the truth was darker, and if I wanted to protect myself, I had to find out. That evening, I made a decision I never thought I would make. I would follow my son. I would watch him until I discovered what he was hiding from me. For the first time, the love of a mother turned into suspicion, and that suspicion burned inside me like fire. The next 2 days felt endless. I pretended everything was fine when Daniel called, but inside I was restless. I could not forget the way he had whispered, "She won't find out." On the third evening, I made my move. I parked my car a short distance from Daniel's office building. The sun was setting, the sky painted in orange and purple, and I waited quietly, my hands gripping the steering wheel. My heart raced with every person that walked out. Finally, I saw him. Daniel walked out of the glass doors, his suit jacket over his arm. But he didn't go toward his usual parking spot. Instead, he turned the corner of the building, heading for the far end of the lot. I followed, careful to keep a distance. There, in a shadowed corner, a sleek black car was waiting. The engine was running, the headlights off. My stomach twisted. Daniel opened the passenger door and got inside. A woman sat in the driver's seat. I crouched lower in my seat, watching carefully. My palms were sweaty, but I couldn't look away. Through the faint crack in my window, I could just hear their voices. The woman's voice was sharp. "Are you sure she doesn't suspect anything?" Daniel sighed. "She came to my office yesterday. I think she felt something, but I told her I was busy. She won't know." "Not yet." The woman leaned closer. "You have to be careful. If she finds out now, everything will be ruined." My chest tightened so much I could barely breathe. They were talking about me, my son and this stranger, planning something, hiding something. I grabbed my phone, my hands shaking. Without thinking, I pressed record and held it near the open crack of the window. The words felt like knives. She doesn't know. She can't find out. Not now. I wanted to storm out, to shout, to demand answers. But fear kept me frozen. What if they saw me? What if Daniel turned against me completely? The conversation went on for a few more minutes. I caught fragments. Documents. Timing. Don't involve her. Every word only deepened the mystery. Finally, Daniel got out of the car, adjusting his tie like nothing had happened. He walked back toward the building as the black car drove away. I stayed in my seat, my whole body trembling. My son, the boy I had raised with so much love, was hiding secrets with a woman I had never met. As I replayed the recording on my phone, the words chilled me again. The man on the phone was right. I didn't really know my son. That night I drove home slowly, the city lights blurring through my tears. I wanted to believe this was all a mistake, but deep down, I knew my life had just changed forever. The following morning, I sat at my kitchen table with the phone in my hands, playing the recording again and again. Daniel's voice, calm yet secretive, cut through me like glass. She doesn't know. She can't find out. Not now. Each time I listened, my heart broke a little more. Who was this woman? What were they hiding? And why was my son treating me like a stranger? I knew I couldn't stay in the dark any longer. If Daniel wouldn't tell me the truth, I would have to find it myself. I started small. I replayed the memory of the black car in my mind. It was sleek, expensive, and had a partial license plate number I remembered from the glow of the streetlight. I quickly scribbled it on a notepad before it slipped from my memory. That afternoon, I drove to the city again. I circled the streets near Daniel's office, hoping I would see the same car. For hours, nothing. Just when I was about to give up, I saw it parked outside a cafe. My chest tightened. I parked across the street and waited. After a few minutes, the woman stepped out. She was tall, elegant, with dark hair tied neatly at the back. She looked confident, like someone used to control. She walked into the cafe without noticing me. I forced myself to breathe. My hands shook as I opened my car door and followed her inside. The cafe was warm and filled with chatter. She sat at a corner table, opening her laptop. I sat a few tables away, hiding behind a menu. My heart pounded so loud I was afraid someone might hear it. When the waiter came to take her order, I leaned closer. That's when I heard her name. "Coffee for Monica," the waiter called. Monica. The name echoed in my head. I didn't know any Monica connected to Daniel. Who was she? Why was she meeting my son in secret? I left the cafe quickly before she could notice me. Sitting in my car, I typed her name and the partial license plate into my phone. Within minutes, I found what I was looking for. Her full name was Monica Reynolds. She was a lawyer at a well-known law firm in the city. My hands trembled as I read more about her online. She specialized in family cases, inheritance, wills, property disputes. The words swam before my eyes. Why would my son be meeting a family lawyer in secret? What documents were they hiding from me? Tears filled my eyes as memories of my late husband surfaced. Had he left something behind I didn't know about? Something Daniel and this woman were keeping from me? The thought crushed me. I had spent my entire life believing my family was simple and honest, and now it felt like there was a whole world of secrets behind closed doors. That evening, Daniel called. His voice was cheerful, as if nothing was wrong. "Hey, Mom, how are you?" I wanted to scream. I wanted to demand answers, but my voice betrayed me. "I'm fine," I whispered. As he talked about work and the weather, I stared at the recording on my phone. He was lying to me, and I knew it. The distance between us had never felt greater. When the call ended, I sat in silence. I had the name. I had the face. But I still didn't have the truth. I promised myself then. I would keep digging. I would not rest until I knew what my son was hiding with this woman named Monica, even if the truth destroyed me. For days I lived in silence, but inside me a storm was raging. Every time I looked at Daniel, whether on a phone call or in a picture frame on the wall, all I could hear was his voice in that car. She can't find out. I had collected enough pieces of the puzzle, his strange behavior, the secret meetings, the lawyer's name. But the final picture was still hidden from me. And I knew I could not carry this weight anymore. One Saturday evening, Daniel came to visit me, as he often did. He walked into the kitchen with a smile, holding flowers in his hands. "Surprise, Mom. I thought you'd like these." I forced a smile, but my chest was heavy. "They're beautiful, Daniel," I said softly, placing them in a vase. My hands shook as I arranged the flowers, not from age, but from the anger boiling inside me. We sat at the table, and I served him soup. He began to talk about work, his friends, random little things. I nodded along, but my mind wasn't listening. My mind was preparing for the moment I had feared. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I put down my spoon, looked directly into his eyes, and said, "Daniel, what are you hiding from me?" His smile faded instantly. He blinked, caught off guard. What do you mean?" "Don't lie to me," I whispered, my voice trembling but strong. "I saw you. I saw you in the car with that woman. I heard your words. You said I must not find out. What is it that you are keeping from me?" Daniel's face went pale. He set down his spoon slowly and leaned back in his chair. "Mom, you don't understand. Then make me understand." I snapped, my voice louder than I intended. Tears stung my eyes. "Do you think I'm stupid? Do you think I won't notice? I raised you, Daniel. I know when you are lying to me." He rubbed his forehead, sighing deeply, like a man trapped in a cage. "It's not what you think." "Then tell me what it is," I shouted. My hands trembled so much I had to grip the edge of the table to steady myself. "Do you know what it feels like? To hear a stranger tell me that I don't know my own son? To watch you hide things from me? I feel like my entire life has been a lie." Daniel's eyes filled with tears. He reached across the table, but I pulled my hands back. "Please, Mom." "Just trust me," he pleaded. "I can't explain right now. Trust you?" I laughed bitterly through my tears. "How can I trust you when you keep secrets with another woman? When you whisper about me like I am the enemy? Do you know what that feels like, Daniel?" He lowered his head, silent. The room was filled with tension so heavy it was hard to breathe. Finally, I stood up. "If you will not tell me the truth, then maybe I don't know you at all." My voice broke, but I kept my back straight. Daniel rose too, his hands trembling. "Mom, please. It's not about you. I promise I'm not trying to hurt you." "Then prove it," I shouted, pointing toward the door. "Tell me the truth. Right here, right now." But he didn't. He just stood there, tears rolling down his cheeks, shaking his head. The silence between us was louder than any words. I grabbed my shawl and walked toward the door. My vision was blurred with tears, but I didn't stop. I stepped outside, leaving him behind. That night, I sat alone in my bedroom, staring at the ceiling. My body felt heavy, my heart broken. The boy I had sacrificed everything for was now a stranger. As I cried myself to sleep, one thought repeated in my mind. If he cannot tell me the truth, then I will find it myself. The house felt colder than ever after that night. I barely ate, I barely slept. Every corner of my home reminded me of Daniel, the boy who once ran to me when he scraped his knee, the young man who hugged me after his college graduation, the son who swore he would never hide anything from me. And now, silence. He didn't call for 2 days. I waited by the phone like a lost child waiting for her mother, but it never rang. I kept replaying the confrontation in my mind, every word, every tear, every silence. Part of me wanted to believe he would show up at my door, fall to his knees, and confess everything. But deep down, I knew it wouldn't be that simple. On the 3rd morning, I heard a sound at my door. When I opened it, no one was there. Only an envelope lay on the welcome mat. My heart pounded as I picked it up. It was thick, heavy, sealed tight. My hands trembled as I carried it to the table and tore it open. Inside were papers, legal documents, photographs, and a single handwritten note. The note read, "If you want the truth, read everything. Don't ask Daniel yet. He wanted to protect you, but you deserve to know." My breath caught. The handwriting was neat, unfamiliar. My fingers shook as I spread the documents across the table. The first page was a birth certificate. A name jumped out at me. Monica Reynolds, born 34 years ago. Father's name, Richard Wilson. My blood froze. Richard Wilson. My husband. I grabbed the next document, old medical records, school registrations, all listing Richard as her father. Tears blurred my vision as I scanned the pages. My husband had a daughter I never knew about. A child born 1 year after Daniel. A secret he carried to his grave. I pressed my hand to my chest, gasping for breath. Memories of my marriage flashed before me. His late nights, his unexplained trips, his quiet guilt in the last years of his life. Had I been blind all along? Then came the photographs. Daniel and Monica, sitting together in cafes, walking out of offices, their faces serious. In one picture, Monica had her hand on Daniel's shoulder, her expression intense, almost protective. Suddenly, it all made sense. The secrecy, the lawyer meetings, the whispers. She must not find out. Daniel hadn't been plotting against me. He had been protecting me from the truth about his father, from the pain of betrayal. But why now? Why was Monica in his life after all these years? I flipped to the last set of documents. A legal file stamped with the seal of the city court. It was about inheritance. My husband had left behind assets I didn't know about, investments, property, things hidden from me. Monica, as his daughter, had a legal claim. Daniel had been working with her to settle it quietly, to keep me from being dragged into a public legal battle. I dropped the papers, my body shaking. My husband's betrayal had come back to life through Monica. And my son, my sweet Daniel, had been caught in the middle trying to shield me. Tears poured down my face as I whispered, "Why didn't you just tell me, Daniel?" That night, I sat in the darkness, the documents spread before me. My heart was broken in two, half mourning the husband I thought I knew, half aching for the son who had carried this heavy secret alone. The truth had finally been revealed, but instead of peace, it left me drowning in grief. I sat in my living room all night, the documents spread across the table like shattered glass. My eyes burned from crying, but I couldn't stop staring at my husband's name on Monica's birth certificate. Richard Wilson, the man I loved, the man I trusted, the father of my son, had betrayed me in the worst way. But what hurt even more was Daniel. My only son, the one person I thought I could always depend on. He had kept this secret, hidden it from me, whispered in corners with Monica while I sat in ignorance. By morning, I couldn't bear the silence any longer. I called Daniel and told him to come over. My voice was cold, steady, though my heart was crumbling inside. He hesitated, but finally agreed. When he walked into the house, he looked exhausted, his eyes heavy with guilt. He tried to smile, but the weight of truth bent his shoulders. I didn't waste a moment. I pointed at the documents on the table. "When were you going to tell me?" My voice cracked, but the anger underneath kept me strong. Daniel froze, staring at the papers. His lips trembled. "Mom, who gave you these?" "It doesn't matter," I cried, slamming my hand on the table. "What matters is that you lied to me. You knew your father betrayed me. You knew you had a sister. And you let me live in the dark like a fool." Tears spilled down his face. He reached for me, but I stepped back. "Mom, I swear I wasn't trying to hurt you." "Then what were you doing?" My voice rose. "Protecting me? Do you think I am so weak that I cannot handle the truth? Do you know what hurts more than betrayal, Daniel? It's being treated like a child by my own son." He shook his head violently. "No, Mom. I was protecting you because I love you. I saw how broken you were after Dad died. How could I destroy your memory of him with this?" His voice cracked, raw and desperate. "I didn't want you to hate him. Or me." I pressed my trembling hands to my chest. His words cut deep. "You should have trusted me, Daniel. You should have given me the choice. Instead, you made me live a lie." He fell to his knees in front of me, sobbing. "I'm sorry, Mom. I didn't know what to do." Monica came to me with the truth, with the documents. I wanted to keep it all away from you, to fix it quietly. I thought if I carried the burden, you wouldn't have to. I looked down at my son, broken and begging for forgiveness, and my heart tore in two. Part of me wanted to hold him, to remind him that he was still my little boy. But another part of me was drowning in the betrayal, unable to breathe. Finally, I whispered through my tears, "I don't hate you, Daniel. I could never hate you. But you must never hide the truth from me again. Do you understand?" "Never." He nodded, pressing his forehead against my hands as he cried. And in that painful moment, I realized we were both victims. Victims of secrets, of betrayal, of silence. The love between us was still there, but it was scarred forever. The days after Daniel's confession were some of the hardest of my life. I walked around the house like a ghost, haunted by memories of my husband and the shadow of his betrayal. Every photograph on the wall felt like a lie, every smile in those frames like a mask hiding the truth. But in the middle of all that pain, there was Daniel. My son. He came to visit every day, sometimes bringing groceries, sometimes just sitting quietly with me. He didn't push me to talk. He didn't make excuses. He simply stayed near me, as if his presence alone could hold my broken heart together. One evening, he brought Monica with him. My stomach twisted at the sight of her, but she looked nervous too, her eyes full of regret. She sat on my sofa, her hands folded tightly in her lap. "I didn't want to hurt you," she said softly. "I only wanted to know the truth about my father. I never meant to cause you pain." For a long time, I couldn't speak. But as I looked at her, I saw not an enemy, but another victim of Richard's silence. She had grown up without a father, just as I had lived without knowing the whole truth. We had both been cheated by the same man. Slowly, I nodded. "We can't change the past," I whispered, "but we can decide what to do with the future." Tears filled her eyes as she nodded back. In that moment, something inside me shifted. The betrayal still hurt, but I realized carrying hatred would only poison me more. My son needed me, and whether I liked it or not, Monica was part of my family now. That night, as Daniel hugged me tightly before leaving, I whispered in his ear, "I love you. No secrets ever again." He pulled back, his face wet with tears, and said, "Never again." "Mom, I promise." And though the scars of betrayal would always remain, I knew that truth, no matter how painful, was better than silence. My world had collapsed, yes, but piece by piece, with honesty and love, it could be rebuilt.